What's up YouTube, this is Paul from Mickey Tech Tips, and today we're going to be reviewing Windows 10 for PCs slash, I guess you would include tablets in that too, because they run the same version of Windows 10 as the desktops do. So with that, and also I'm going to talk about Windows 10 as a whole, so with that, let's get started.
Cause virtual is where we live. Cause virtual is where we live. Cause virtual is where we live.
Alright, so here we are at my test desktop environment. So, it looks pretty fluent. It looks exactly what Windows 8 should have looked like. And there's also a neat little feature. Guess what's back? The Start menu. And one of the things I want to point out, Windows 8 did not have no start menu. It had a start screen, which felt unnatural on the non-tablet slash 2-in-1 devices. And I'm speaking that from experience just because I've used both, and I own both a tablet and a traditional computer. So that's one of the major things that happened in Windows 10. And also another thing I want to point out, they also made a lot of the new Metro style apps available as a regular program. So like, one of the things that I hated with 8 is when you download an app from the App Store, you could pin it to the taskbar and all that, but it would show up as a full screen app, and it just felt unnatural on a non-tablet device. So like, when you had to pull up PC info, which was like settings or something, I honestly don't know, because they also had the traditional control panel, which you made some settings in there, some settings in the PC info slash PC settings. I honestly don't know what they called it. You were pulling up a mixture of different stuff, so even if you did not want to use the Metro style interface, you still probably have used it at one point when you had 8. Well, this takes care of it because it's in a window. And some stuff like games and stuff, you can still make it full screen completely, but this works out fine for the PC with just having a window instead of having it full screen. Honestly, I think that's great. Another thing that's great is that I'm going to bring up the tablet mode, so even though I'm not recording on a tablet, you can still turn it on for some reason. So there it is. Windows 10 tablet mode. So there's no need to have to go to a desktop at some point on a tablet just because you don't have a keyboard and mouse. And that was one of the another things I hated, is that occasionally if I used my Venue 11 Pro without the keyboard dock, I needed to get into the desktop. It was extremely difficult sometimes to navigate around it because I didn't have the keyboard with it. Now behold, even though I can run desktop apps inside using tablet mode, I would not recommend it because not all of them are supported yet. Chrome is supported, but some other stuff like VMware, which is what I use for my virtualization, I opened that thing up and I was having a hard time to close out of it and stuff, is not supported. So honestly, I would recommend just using, if you use it in tablet mode, you can use all your new apps and stuff. And if you need to switch back into desktop mode for some reason, like that, and still stuff is very navigatable. It can be navigated, very easily without even having to take out of the desktop mode. And another thing I want to point out, it automatically knows when you remove the tablet from a dock. It can say, do you want to switch to tablet mode? And you can tell it yes and no. And it does the same thing when you put it back on. So I think that's neat. They're finally fixing the devices for what they need to be. Xbox One's supposed to have like a special interface that looks cool for Windows 10. The desktop feels more modern and stuff. Even though Windows 7 did feel ahead of its time, this has finally caught up to where all the other device / operating systems are just about. So that's neat. Another thing I want to point out is that this is supposed to be able to sync across devices. For the most part, this works on my desktop, and I used it on my laptop, and I think I even had my Venue 11 Pro tied into a separate, the same account at one point in time, just to play around with it on 3 different devices. But I mainly just use it on my laptop and Tune One, which is my Dell Venue 11 Pro. And considering I had both of them tied in, it worked out fine. I was able to sync across Wi-Fi passwords if I chose to, and I was able to sync across wallpapers and stuff. Worked out okay. One thing I do want to point out, I stopped using Cortana. But anyway, so up here you got a list of different apps that's supposed to be able to sync with, like Windows Phone 8 and Windows Phone 10. And I've tried out both of them on my Windows Phone. Of course, Windows Phone 8 was only for like 10 minutes. But anyway, all these except like Cortana and like movies and TV and Skype. Actually, Cortana might be OneDrive enabled. But anyway, all these are supposed to sync via OneDrive. Honestly, I did find OneDrive being confusing. So like if you wanted to have Groove music across devices, you had to put it in a music folder. Unlike with Google Drive, I can just throw music on my Google Drive and it's supposed to show up for the most part in Google Play Music. But on Groove, or I can upload it to Google Play Music via a web browser. But bad thing of Groove Music is you have to manually put every file inside the music folder. Then you have to go in on your device and click download one by one instead of just being able to click download the folder. Because that was a neat thing of Google Drive. I could click a folder, like let's say I had Christmas music and I wanted to listen to it. I could hold down on that folder, tell it to download, and it would download. But this, you had to do it one by one, so it made that confusing. And another thing I want to point out is that the interface for OneDrive isn't the best. It seems like it's missing some features and all that, but not the best. Office, for the most part, it works on Android and iOS, but it does not work. And PC, but it does not work that way on Windows Phone 10. I wonder if it's a glitch or something, but I could get it to work on Windows Phone 8, but not Windows Phone 10. It kept asking me I needed a subscription even though I had one, so I honestly do not know. But one thing I do want to point out that the synchronization was kind of disappointed. Office works. I love in some parts being able to go into Office and upload stuff directly to OneDrive, because I'm able to do that without having to be in contact with the interface, because that is a really bad interface. I'm so glad I'm able to do that, but on Windows Phone it sucks because everything you have to do, you have to go through OneDrive at some point to do it. So, and another thing I want to point out, I'm not going to bring up. Actually, I could bring it up because this is a test user account. But anyway, so if you have OneDrive turned on your account, which of course you're not going to see it here because this is a local account, pop it right here, so it should be fine. But the online interface is just horrible. So honestly, I did not care for using OneDrive. Again, none of my features sync to my Windows Phone, even though I use the same account as I do for my other Windows devices. So that kind of sucked. And another thing I want to point out is I don't use Cortana. And the reason why is because Microsoft, the way they made Windows 10 is that it was a free upgrade, because they wanted you to upgrade so they could make more money off of you by selling out your info to advertisers. And like, you'd get relevant ads popping up here, like suggested apps from the Windows Store, which by the way, the Windows Store is still not perfect. I have a glitch. It doesn't work for me half the time, no matter what device I use. So I want to point that out. But I get these apps that pop up before I put the Spybot anti-beacon on, which by the way, you can learn all about this and other ways to disable the privacy settings by going to Barnacules Nerdgasm. He talks about how to disable Windows 10 privacy in there. But anyway, so I did that, and so by doing that, I lost all Cortana functionality and stuff. But I was fine because I was starting to see relevant ads from what I searched pop up on different websites. And that was kind of scary. And I bet they were looking through my files too. So I honestly was ticked off about that, so I did that. By disabling all of the stuff, which they're probably not happy. In fact, if you use Edge instead of just using Chrome, um, it doesn't honor those settings that Spybot Anti-Beacon went in to modify. Instead, it's like a big FU settings. We're gonna do whatever we want, but Google Chrome does honor the settings, so I'm able to go in there and they still can't track my irrelevant ads. And also, they've been setting Microsoft Edge for a lot of default things like PDF readers and all that. And there's ways to disable that. Disable Microsoft Edge so it doesn't use it as a PDF reader and web browser and stuff. Because even though you might have your default set before you go over to Windows 10, as soon as you hit Windows 10, it's all Microsoft defaults. And that sucks because I like using my programs. And the biggest problem with Edge, I'm going to bring it up, is that it has no support for extensions, which is bad because I use other stuff like Google Drive, and there's a bunch of other apps that I use as a browser extensions, and those don't think there's any kind of themes or anything, so that kind of sucks too. But neat thing is you can draw on the web browser and stuff, and I can't view it because I'm not opened up into a web page right now. And I thought that was neat. But I do want to point out it is kind of hard to change the search engine on here to Google from Bing. And the reason why I want to point that out is because I don't like Bing. I tried to use them for like a week one time. Way back when I started a BlackBerry tablet. It sucked. So I would never use Bing again. So it was just extremely hard to change the default search to Google. And even when you do it there, Cortana still wants to search in Bing, and there's ways to get around that, but you had to use Chrome. But it doesn't matter because either way, Microsoft's still going to get your info. So I just disabled it. I would have liked it if they would have told me what they were doing, and if I didn't agree to it, then I could just pay like $100 licensing fee, because that's what I did with 8. When I didn't go buy a new PC right away. I just went and bought a 8 license key, and then about 2 years later, I got the new PC. And I would have been fine with that with 10 too, just because I honestly do not like my info being leaked. I don't care as much if it's my phone, but I do more on my computer than I do my cell phone. So that's one of the big issues. I don't know what else they were reading in my computer, so there's been a bunch of speculation about that too. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I'm just gonna wrap this thing up basically, but I want to point out Windows 10 is great. It has all sorts of new features and stuff that Windows 8 did not have, and Windows 7 didn't have it neither. But then again, it did bring some of the features from 7 and 8 to 10, and then either made them better or they added on to those features. Oh, and another cool thing I want to point out is, like, for example, if you go do this, remember Windows 7 Snap? You can snap 2 programs to side by side now, and in fact, you can even do 4 programs, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's by default. And that's one of the things I do take for granted when I go to like school and stuff, because I try to snap 4 programs out of the force of habit, but it doesn't work because Windows 7 only still does 2. Now, the main reason why people haven't upgraded is because it's a new operating system, and with that does come some problems. A lot of them get fixed within the first year of the operating system gets released, or they never get fixed. Windows Vista and Windows 8. Honestly, though, Vista was okay towards the end, but for the most part, it was a bad operating system. Same thing with 8. It does work now, but I still would have preferred to avoid it completely. But the problem is when I went back to Windows 7 on one of my PCs, something wasn't working right, so Windows 7 seemed really slow, and I'm wondering if Microsoft was like sending out an update so Windows 7 would be slower on some PCs because it was a new install and I even had all the drivers and it didn't work right. So I went back to 8 and now I'm on 10. And for the most part, 10 does work. Would I continue using 10? For right now, yes. But I am considering other possibilities in the future because some of the practices Microsoft's doing with the spying and a few other practices that they're doing that is kind of frowned on by people that know what's happening isn't that great. And apparently some people said there's some stuff happening internally in the company that we don't know about yet that's not that great. I honestly think the CEO of Microsoft, Satya, is making bad decisions. And I kind of wish Ballmer was still there, or maybe even Gates, but Gates is sort of retired for the most part now. But anyway, I honestly think they are going downhill slowly. Maybe they can fix themselves before they go downhill completely. But I'm going to still keep using Windows 10 for now because that's my only option, because Linux, the bad part about it is cool, really cool. It has a lot of potential, but a lot of my software is not supported in Linux yet. The video editing software and a few other pieces of software is not supported in Linux. Now there's becoming more and more support for it every day, but it's still not mainstream yet. And then another option I am considering is maybe to get like some kind of Apple PC for my main computer in the future. And the main reason why I would do that is because video editing is like super awesome on those on Apple's platform, because it just works no matter what you have. So I'm considering that, and if I do that, then I'll still run Windows to an extent, because let's face it, just about everything requires Windows still. And even if I do PC builds, I will still run Windows. But if they ever get Linux out to the point that you can do awesome stuff inside Linux, maybe I'll switch over to Linux. But other than that, I think Windows 10 is great. If Microsoft's watching this at some point, fix your company practices and maybe you'll get people to stay. But I want to point out this is once you guys cause major problems and they get out into the major news outlets, not just the geek ones, then you guys might be butthurt. So make wise decisions if you guys know anyone at Microsoft or if you work at Microsoft. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this. For some weird reason, my Windows videos have been the most popular lately, so I'm going to keep putting them out. I am going to put out maybe a command prompt one in the future, just because some people don't know what command prompt is. So remember to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.
'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. 'Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. 'Cause virtual is where we live.